Okay, so I'm gonna draw, like I said, a 6 by 6 by 6 box. So you could just grab your square tool, and if you just click, my computer is very mad at me. If you just click, it'll pop up a little modal here where you can just put 6 by 6 in there to make your life a little easier. Okay, so then we have a perfect 6 by 6 box. Okay, so that's going to be the exact size of your base. And so what I want to do off of this is I want to make the sort of like front facade almost of my shape. Okay, so we're going to make this like barn bot. I don't know. Maybe we'll put like cat ears on it or something. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that shape. I think what I'll do is I can lock this. Command 2 is a lock, or you could go up to Object Lock if you're selected on something. And I'll grab my pen tool. All right. And I'm going to first draw this bottom line here. So I just drew a line. You can use the line tool. Okay, so that's going to be the like front-facing facade, and I'm going to draw a sort of like barn shape, okay? So I think a barn is kind of shaped, I'm a city person, I don't actually know what a barn is shaped like. I think it's kind of like this, right? It's kind of like a that kind of situation. How am I doing? Any country folks? Yeah? I'm okay?
But that doesn't mean I know what
Yeah.
it looks like.
Yeah, truly. Okay, so I think what I'll do now is I'm gonna unlock all the shapes, and I'm just gonna move this one out of my way so I can kind of see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna use this direct arrow tool here. Okay, so it's gonna be the white one. The white one is gonna be directly for points, and the other one's gonna be the black one is gonna be for general selection. Okay, so I'm going to grab this one. This is going to be for points. And I'm going to draw an imaginary box around all these points here. Okay? And I will hit Command C, Shift Command V, which will paste it in place. Then I'll switch back to my general selection arrow. And I'm going to right click on this shape that I just copy and pasted, hit Transform, hit Reflect. And I want to do it on the vertical, right? So it just flips itself. And then I can move this over here. Boom. And I get almost a perfect barn shape. I probably overshot the middle section here. And that's okay. I'm just going to move this a little bit so that these points kind of like line up. They'll sort of like snap together almost. Okay. And then here's a really nice Illustrator trick. Anybody know how to join points in Illustrator? You can just select 2 points that are directly on top of each other and hit Command J, and it'll join those 2 points into a shape. Okay, and I'll do that down here too, because remember I connected these two. So I'll do Command J, and now this is one nice solid shape. Barn bot. Great job, everyone. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to think about, okay, well, how am I going to kind of connect all this stuff up? And there's a couple different ways that we can do this and kind of envision how this is going to work. So I know for a fact that I'm going to need a, probably like a little, like a flap, right? So like if you look at the examples, see all these like little flappies on here, right? That's what you kind of glue together, right? When you fold them up, that's what you kind of glue together. So we're going to make one of those, and that one's going to fold under, and we'll actually just glue that one to the bot surface itself. So the way that I'll do that is I'll zoom in here, and I can kind of just draw, and it can kind of be like any shape, really. They work well if you kind of like taper them in like this. Okay? And I know for a fact that I'm going to want this bottom line down here. That's going to be a score mark, okay? And a dotted line works really well for something like that. So what I want to do is I want to copy this line because I actually want this line to be like a separate line. So in order to do that, I'm going to add a point in the center like this. I'm going to just grab my pen tool. So grab my pen tool here, put a point in the center, grab my direct selection arrow, select that anchor, and I'm going to cut it. So I'm going to hit Command X, and that's going to kind of get rid of it. And then if I hit Shift Command V, it's going to put it back where it was, but now it's like an independent line. Then if I go to my line tool, and I just hit dash line here, boom. So then what that'll do is it'll actually cut that way, and it'll be a score mark. So it'll be a really easy to fold line. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm essentially making I'm making like a really elaborate version of this one, right? Okay, so I actually want something that looks a lot like this, because I want to get all those like those roof articulations, right? So in a similar way, maybe just without the bottom. So we're going to do about the same thing. So the first thing that we'll need to do is I'm going to want to have sides for my roof, right? Like sides here. Okay. So there's a couple different ways that I can do this. I know I'm going to want them to be 6 inches wide, right? Depth of 6 inches because my box is 6 by 6 by 6. So I'm going to grab a rectangle tool and zoom in here quick. And I'm just going to draw a rectangle that's the size of this first line, and I'll give it a width of 6. Is this making sense to everybody so far? Anybody lost? Okay, so I'm going to give it a width of 6. Okay. And then I can do the same thing over here. Okay, and so this is going to be the front face, and then these are going to be the two sides that I sort of fold in. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so I'm going to want these marks to be score lines then as well, okay? So I'll do that same technique there. I'm going to lock these two right now, Command 2. Okay, and I'll pick this shape back up, and I'm going to add some other points, like so. Select those points. I'm going to hit Command X. Okay, so that is going to cut them. I'll go unlock these. So I'm going to unlock all, so I have these shapes. I'm going to do the same thing. Add some points. And the reason I'm adding points is so that I can delete a line, right? So I'm going to delete that one. And then same thing over here. Add a line. Or sorry, add a point. Delete that one. And then I'll do my Shift Command V. Paste my lines in place. What do I do next? Dotted line. Absolutely. Cute. Okay, so maybe now what I will do is I'll rotate this. So make sure I have everything together. And I'll rotate this. Okay, and we can work with like 11 by 17 paper, which would be totally fine. And you can do as many sheets as you want. But your goal is to kind of get it to all like fit together as easily as you can. Does that make sense? So I'm going to adjust my artboard, and I'm going to make it 11 by 17. And we'll see how much we can get away with here. Okay? And we can actually probably cut paper a little bit longer than 17 if we really need to. So for the meantime, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, just so we can get the full effect, and then we can sort of tweak your schematics as we need to cut them in an appropriate manner. Does that make sense? All right, so what we're going to need to do now is we're going to need another one of these shapes, right? And that's going to sort of connect onto these two sides. Okay, and there's a couple different ways that we can do that. So I think I'll first make another artboard. Okay, and I'm going to grab all this stuff. So I'm going to grab this whole shape here, all the shapes that sort of make up this like barn bot face. paste those, because I'm pretty much going to use this again. And then really all I need to do on this one is just give it some flappies. Okay, here's where you have to be careful though. I want a cut line now. This is a score line. I want a cut line. If I try to go from here, what happens is that it picks up this open line, and then I'll be drawing in the mode that I don't want to. So that's a really helpful thing, is to sort of lock and unlock as you go. So I'm going to grab these two friends. Command 2 is lock, or you could go up to Object Lock here. Okay, so now I can't touch those, and maybe I want to lock this one too. So now I can grab my pen tool and head over here and just make myself a little flap. Okay, and it's picking up this line and this line, but that's fine because I want it to cut. Okay, so again, my solid lines are going to be cut lines. And these parts don't have to be really exact because they're going to be hidden anyways. We're going to just tape them together. Okay, great. So now I have this part, and then this part, I will glue these flaps here, this one and this one, to the sides here and here. Make sense to everybody so far? Any questions so far? Am I losing anybody? Okay, so we're almost done, I promise. So the last thing that we're going to do is we're just going to figure out how we want to have our, essentially like these lines, right? These like long lines here that are going to sort of articulate the top of that form, because we have the two faces right now and the sides, and now we need the lines that are going to go like on the top to kind of hide everything. And if we do it right, what we can do is we can kind of make it so that we can like open and close it, which would be a really nice feature for our robot. So I think the way that I will build this is I'm just going to work with the lines that I have here. So I know I'm going to need a 6-inch rectangle. Okay. And I'm going to go up here and turn it to 6 inches. Okay. And then its width is going to be determined on like what's happening here. Okay. So I'm going to rotate this friend around. Line this up so that I can get what this width is here. Okay, and there's probably like a more sophisticated way to do this, but this is fine for now. Okay, so I have a 6 by 1.308, something. I'll just say like 1.3. Okay, so 6 by 1.3. So I'm going to try that again. Okay, so I'm going to do 6 by 1.3. Okay, and that's about, I'm gonna like just guess that they're all about the same size. This is where like if it's off a tiny bit, we're gonna be just fine. Okay, and so really all you need with these is you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces connected together. Okay, so I am going to remove one of the sides of this just to make my life a little easier. Okay, I'll delete that. So I'm going to do 2, 4, and I'm holding down, sorry, let me explain to you what I'm doing here. This Illustrator magic. I'm selecting both of these. I'm holding down Alt, see it gives you that double arrow. And then if you click and drag, it copies it for you. Illustrator tricks. Okay, so again, I select what I want to copy, hold down Alt, click, drag, and as I'm dragging, I'm also holding down Shift so it stays nice and straight. Okay, so this part here, whoops, and I forgot to, this is going to happen, I forgot to unlock this, and so when I move this, things got a little wonky. That's okay, I'll fix that in a minute. Actually, why don't I just fix it now? Object, unlock all, and then I'll just grab these friends here and move this back where it goes. Cool, no problem. So move this out of the way a little bit. Okay, so for this one, because this is sort of like flexible, right? So what I can do with this one is I can actually just like make this like a sort of accordion piece, right? That is just going to have a bunch of scored sides so that I can just sort of like make it a flexible piece of material and then like paste it in place. Does that make sense? So I'm going to do the same thing that I've been doing. I'm going to add some points here, okay? And do that same thing again. Command X, Shift Command V. That's going to give me my dashy lines. Same thing here. And I'm just going to go through, add some lines. Delete these friends. Oops. Okay. And then this one, I'll just rotate because I want that to be another line. And then I'll just copy this one. And it'll kind of just automatically line up to where the next break in these lines is. Okay, so now I've made this like foldable piece. This one looks a little jacked up. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so now what I want is I want to add some tabs, right? So I want to add tabs on all of these so that I can have things that glue here. Does that make sense? So I'll grab all these. Actually, I want this whole thing to be score marks. And I'm doing a bad job. Okay, that looks pretty even. So I think I actually want this whole thing to be dash lines because it's all going to be folded. And I think I will lock this. And then I will grab some lines here. Oops. And I want all of these to be solids. I'm going to turn this fill off. I want all these to be solid friends. Okay. And I'm going to need almost the exact same thing on the other side, so I just copied it, pasted it in place, Shift Command V. I'll just rotate it, and then move it over here where it needs to go. Right? And then I'm actually going to do this here so that I can just copy it a bunch of times. And these parts like don't need to be perfect because they're gonna be hidden. But you want to be pretty tidy with it. Get everything to kind of line up. All right, and I'm using that Shift, Alt-Shift technique again. All right, I'll do the same thing. Rotate it. All right. Yes. Okay, cool. So now I have this bendable piece of material, right? And it's going to be sort of like cardstock, so it'll be kind of rigid. Here's going to be the facade, right? The other facade, this one, these flaps will glue over here. And then this piece will sort of be the top part. I'm going to stop this video now.